It's time for the Social Show with Viwe Kyolwana.
Social Show? Social Show.
Welcome to the Social Show. My name is Viwe Kyolwana. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking all things CSI, all things CSR, and of course, shared value. It's actually a really hot day, and I'm so excited because I've been waiting for it, the weather to change, and so I'm in a good mood today. I wonder what kind of mood you're in. I suppose it depends on whether or not you're doing good, or whether or not you are part of some sort of strategy to help your community really reach where it needs to reach. It's going to be a jam-packed show. Today we're going to be speaking to an important and I think interesting guest, and we've got a great lineup for you. Of course, you can get a little bit more information about what we do and how we do it on www.social-tv.co.za, or you can just send me an email if you have an idea that you think we actually should feature on the show. I'm very open to that. I'm very open because I do think that sometimes people just don't have the capacity to really draw awareness to the innovation or to the idea, and I think it's very important. Then that's where we come in and we pick up on your news and we pick up on what you're doing in your community, and we come and see. Right, so it's very important that we definitely highlight your stories. You can do so at brandlive.co.za. Send me just an idea, a link, something, and I will click on it. Or if you have any questions that you'd like to ask during the show, you are more than welcome to do so. Again, press at social-tv.co.za. We're going to start off with the news as usual.
CSI update.
Early last week, global news outlets reported that 90 carcasses of illegally killed elephants had been found around a famous wildlife sanctuary, the Okavango Delta in Botswana. The elephants appear to have been killed for their tusks a few weeks ago. Dr. Mike Chase, a scientist who founded and directs Elephants Without Borders, a research and conservation organization, made the finding while conducting an aerial survey of Botswana's wildlife. The survey began on the 10th of July 2018. A statement by the Botswana government denies the finding, claiming that the number is only 53, with the majority of carcasses suggesting natural death rather than poaching. However, another article stated that Botswana Tourism Minister Tshikedi Kama confirmed to AFP that elephants had been poached. In other news, hundreds of underprivileged children were given the opportunity to fly for the first time thanks to the Children's Flight, an event dedicated to giving children the freedom to dream big. The event was attended by over 2,000 people, comprising of sponsors, media, invited guests and children, and it took place over 2 days from the 31st to the 1st of October. What started as a Mandela Day initiative with about 130 children taking flight in 2016 has grown into a national phenomenon, with 400 children flown last year and a whopping 1,000 in 2018 alone, a goal that the founders of the initiative, Michael Ferguson, Jason Beamish, as well as Felix Gosha, were determined to achieve. The inspiration behind the children's flight came from Paper Plane, a song about a child with a dream to fly, written and performed by Ferguson. After doing some dreaming of their own, the pair approached the Acorn Foundation in 2018 for help with identifying deserving children in its existing network who would love the opportunity to fly for the first time this year. And lastly, in our news, KFC South Africa has embarked on an initiative to change the quick service restaurant industry and the way brands deal with their surplus food in restaurants. This program aims to reduce the volume of food dumped in landfills while combating climate change through reduction of greenhouse emissions associated with food waste. A meal without protein is incomplete and is a harsh reality for millions of South Africans. The Harvest program sees just under 200 KFC restaurants repurposing what they do with the surplus chicken and getting it to people that need it the most. The most food insecure are often the poorest, who do not have sufficient access to quality food, and more importantly, KFC South Africa has embarked on an initiative to change the quick service industry. And that concludes our news for today.
In this learning module, we'll share with you 4 compelling reasons why you and your organization should embrace community involvement and CSR opportunities. You demonstrate your commitment to the community, your team, and your customers. You elevate the charisma and mission of your business by association with your involvement while broadening the public's awareness to your business and your brand. You allow your team to embrace a noble cause, which will strengthen their own reasons to see your company as preferred employer. And you'll actually open up your horizons, your own horizons, in the sharing and caring about issues that are actually important in your own community, and in doing so, elevate you as a leader with other like-minded leaders. These are the first 4 reasons that will help you decide to get you, your company, and your team involved with issues that matter to the very people that live and work in the community you call home.
400 kilometers off the eastern coast of Africa, Madagascar boasts unrivaled species and ecosystem diversity. Nearly 98% of the island's land mammals, 91% of its reptiles, and 80% of its flowering plants are found nowhere else on Earth. Scientists from Chicago's Field Museum, including MacArthur Fellow Steve Goodman, are studying and seeking to conserve biodiversity here. In Madagascar and 7 other areas of the tropics, the Foundation strives to strike a balance between conservation and the needs of rural communities in developing countries. A research initiative at Arizona State University is examining this question using case studies in Peru, Tanzania, and Vietnam. Other new projects seek to identify and mitigate the threat from global climate change on species in some of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet.
Well, you're back on the social show, and as I said before I got into the news, we have a really cool show today. We're going to be speaking to an amazing organization. I think it's called Columbia Leadership, and their recent conference which they had this past Saturday, and they really are quite interesting in the way in which they conduct their business, and I really do like the fact that they're very much youth focused. So on Saturday at Columbia Leadership Annual Youth Connection Conference, it's an annual thing, 32 schools showcase their innovative ways they are creating opportunities from immediate issues affecting their schools, such as litter, food security, and bullying. And of course, I've been seeing quite a lot of these things, these kind of initiatives happening all around South Africa. And I think it's important that we start to spark up innovation and critical thinking at schools. It's because that's where it really starts. And also, who knows a community better than the kids that live and play in it? So I always think that it's always important that innovation is not only just taken from top down, it's also from young people who are in the space and who understand what their problems are. So that's why I really do love these kinds of initiatives. But anyway, the event was themed Think Difference and was hosted with the intent of bringing inspired young leaders together to forge connections and to ignite a culture of solution finding to create a movement of positive social change. And we all know that we are now in National Litter Week, National Cleanup Week, basically. So it would be interesting to find out what came out of this amazing connection, among other things, because again, as I said, they looked at litter, they looked at food security, as well as bullying. These are the issues that a lot of kids are finding themselves within, a lot of issues that a lot of parents don't know how to really work with. And so today we're just going to be finding out a little bit more about this critical project that is going to make sure that South African youth are, for the most part, living up to their potential, and that's exactly what Columbia Leadership is doing. It's in close association with the Department of Education and runs a dynamic leadership programs for schools located in economically disadvantaged areas in 6 provinces around the country. They're everywhere. They're doing their very best, and I'm very excited to be speaking to Monique, who's going to be representing Columbia Leadership. We're going to get her on the line, and hopefully we'll just start talking to her a little bit about the leadership conference. In fact, I think she's on the line right now. Good morning, Monique. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. I'm not sure if it's a technical difficulty from our part. Is she on? Okay, we're going to just try to get a hold of her quickly with technicians. But as I said before, Columba is definitely one of those institutions that have a great track record, and I think it's very important that we do see that in them, because a track record does talk to your it talks to the kind of quality that you're producing, and you have a number of youth that have come out of your hands. It means you have something to really stand on. What I like about them also is that they really do pin a lot of their strength on youth engagement as a means of transformation and transformational projects. And we're going to be talking a little bit more now. I think she's on the line. Good morning, Monique. Good morning. Hello? There seems to be a little bit of an issue. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to try to get Monique on the line. And once she's on the line, we're going to be right back.
When you've been around for almost 150 years, you operate in 197 countries, and you sell millions of products a day, you have opportunities and responsibilities. A responsibility to respect people and the environment, to do the right thing, to be transparent. That's why we've asked you how we can be a better business. We've listened to what you said and taken action. We turned your feedback into 38 commitments, a set of commitments you can hold us accountable to, that we apply across our business. Sourcing, manufacturing, packaging, marketing, consuming. We've already come a long way, but this is just the beginning. We know there will be challenges, and while sometimes we might surprise ourselves, we won't always get it right first time. But we're determined to do more and to share our progress with you. To find out how we're doing, visit Nestle.com.
And this is getting back to an earlier discussion we had. Indra Nooyi said something that I agreed with so much, is that often people confuse purpose and corporate social responsibility. And I think it's really important when defining purpose for your organization, the role of the customer, the employee, the investor, and then you decide how far you're going to go on broader societal missions. And some organizations are set up explicitly around providing employment for coffee workers in the Amazon, right? Yeah. And they can have that purpose, but then they also have to figure out what the metrics are that they'll hold themselves accountable to. And so the piece that it makes me start thinking about is once you pick it, then you got to pick your metrics. Right? So I think you can have as broad a purpose as you choose as an organization, but then you have to also hold yourself accountable. Is that attainable? Is that something I can move the needle on? And how am I going to hold myself accountable for doing that?
Yeah. Dave, how do you think
if you broaden this to look at social responsibility,
yeah.
It becomes a little different animal, because in a company like ours, last year we spent $250 million in charitable gifts and contributions, donations, and different things like that. And that's consistent with the last several years. And Forbes called us the most charitable company in America, which we appreciated that recognition. But frankly, the contributions we make are directly related to our purpose as an organization, to what we're trying to achieve, and they are targeted at our customers, the communities we serve, and our associates. In fact, we went out and researched with our customers, what things do you think it's important for a grocery company like ours to participate in? And they told us things related to their community, their schools, because many of the people who shop in our stores have kids and they want us to relate to the schools. They think hunger problems and issues, so we support food banks all over the U.S. We make sure that what was otherwise wasted food, perishable food, now gets donated through those services. We look at sustainability as important to our associates, so we really go after that in a big way. We've reduced our energy usage by 30% in the last 10 years on a square foot basis across our footprint. And I used to think of that as a fixed cost. For heaven's sakes, I was so wrong. But our associates said, we can make a dent on this. And they wanted to go after it. So I think most of the goals that you think of as social and affecting the community as a whole need to relate back to what are you trying to do in your business, and it doesn't make some sense. Now, if you're the sole owner of the business and you want to support something, fine, but your shareholders should insist that you spend the money in a way that furthers the business in a positive way. Now, it can help the community, certainly, and the $250 million does help the communities, but it helps Kroger at the same time.
There is no doubt that quality education can help reduce poverty, foster economic prosperity, improve health and well-being. It can help a person to understand this world better or build a base for the future. It's clear, it's simple, education is important. However, today, there are places around the world where 14 students share just one book.
Hello?
Girls simply drop out because there are no toilets in schools. Today, 58 million children are denied the basic right to education. Those children did not even have a choice, but you do.
My name is Andrew Lowndes. I'm the UK and Ireland Sales Manager for Presslit Care. At Presslit Care, we're very passionate about providing access for people with physical disabilities. And we're very passionate about the Changing Places campaign that provide larger accessible toilet and changing facilities. It's fantastic when we can see the smile on the faces of users. That's our reward, is to see the satisfaction and the enjoyment that people have.
And this is getting back to an earlier discussion we had. Indra Nooyi said something that I agreed with so much, is that often people confuse purpose and corporate social responsibility.
Hello?
And I think it's really important when defining purpose for your organization, you know, the role of the customer, the employee, the investor, and then you decide how far you're going to go on broader societal missions. And some organizations are set up explicitly around providing employment for coffee workers in the Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And they can have that purpose, but then they also have to figure out what the metrics are that they'll hold themselves accountable to. And so the piece that it makes me start thinking about is once you pick it, then you got to pick your metrics, right? So I think you can have as broad a purpose as you choose as an organization, but then you have to also hold yourself accountable. Is that attainable? Is that something I can move the needle on? And how am I going to hold myself accountable for doing that?
Yeah. Dave, how do you think
If you broaden this to look at social responsibility,
Yeah.
It becomes a little different animal, because in a company like ours, last year we spent $250 million in charitable gifts and contributions, donations, and different things like that. And that's consistent with the last several years. And Forbes called us the most charitable company in America, which we appreciated that recognition. But frankly, the contributions we make are directly related to our purpose as an organization, to what we're trying to achieve, and they are targeted at our customers, the communities we serve, and our associates. In fact, we went out and researched with our customers, what things do you think it's important for a grocery company like ours to participate in? And they told us things related to their community, their schools, because many of the people who shop in our stores have kids and they want us to relate to the schools. They think hunger problems and issues, so we support food banks all over the U.S. We make sure that what was otherwise wasted food, perishable food, now all gets donated through those services. We look at sustainability as important to our associates, so we really go after that in a big way. We've reduced our energy usage by 30% in the last 10 years on a square foot basis across our footprint. And I used to think of that as a fixed cost. For heaven's sakes, I was so wrong. But our associates said we can make a dent on this, and they wanted to go after it. So I think most of the goals that you think of as social and affecting the community as a whole need to relate back to what are you trying to do in your business, and it doesn't make some sense. Now, if you're the sole owner of the business and you want to support something, fine, but your shareholders should insist that you spend the money in a way that furthers the business in a positive way. Now, it can help the communities, certainly, and the $250 million does help the communities, but it helps Kroger at the same time.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
Wow, we've been trying to get a hold of Monique, and I think there's just something wrong either with my line or with her line. But hopefully we can just carry on with the interview a little bit later during the week and have a really in-depth interview on just what happened at the Columbia Leadership Annual Youth Conference that happened just this Saturday, how schools got to be a part of the conference, what are the requirements. I also just want to talk to a bit about the importance about advocacy of critical thinking and innovation. I wanted to speak to her about a number of different elements that the conference looked at and how, the innovations could necessarily or could in some way, shape or form move on to and into real working systems in our community that, the government finance, so CSI managers like yourselves finance, that really come from the brilliant minds of our South African youth. Of course, it would have been a great conversation with Monique, but hopefully it'll happen another day. I'm struggling to get her on the line, or at least hear her on the phone. But again, if you want to know a little bit more about what they do, you can go to www.columba. I keep saying Columbia, my word, columba.co.org.za, and you can find out a little bit more about what they do. You can get involved. You can find out who the endorsements are. You can find out about their alumni project, and they're everywhere. Like I said, they're in six provinces in and around the country. They're operating there, and they are working with. I think the provinces actually is KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, Gauteng, Mpumalanga, and the Free State. And I mean, that's amazing for me. When I ever think of programs like this, I always want them to be in almost every province because every province deserves them. But I'm sad because I'm not seeing Eastern Cape, and I'm from the Eastern Cape. So I was going to talk to you a little bit about that. But anyway, as I said, it's National Cleanup Week this week. If you are involved in recycling, it's your CSI initiative, it's your go-to, it's what you guys are good at, please let me know what you're doing this week. Let me know who and what areas are you going to be looking at to help spread the awareness of recycling. I think a lot of people have forgotten that it's still an important part of our fabric, our environment, our living conditions, to make sure that people recycle, to make sure that people get it to, make sure that they have a great understanding of the environment and how important it is to take care of it. I also think if you are staging a cleanup anywhere in South Africa, please let me know. Send me a shout out and I definitely will make sure more people come and support your cause. I think it's important that we have these kind of weeks. In fact, I would suggest we have at least one a month, where we find a space and we just clean it up. I mean, there's so many spaces that I think just need a proper cleanup, not even anything beyond that, just a proper cleanup, and just to restore the joy in that community. I have kids playing and not getting into any trouble, not getting hurt or anything like that. But more than that, it's very important that we also just instill this recycling energy in our homes. And I know a lot of people think, but it takes so long and who cares? We all care. If we care about climate change and you care about what are we going to be eating, what are we going to be doing by 2020, you should care what you're doing with your litter. You should care how your litter is being disposed of. You should care where it's going and how it's harmful or not harmful, hopefully, to the environment and to the spaces in which you go through, you walk past, you run past, you drive past every single day. It's our responsibility to take care of our environment. In fact, that's exactly what Things to Remember is going to be about. So I'm just going to take a short break because we had quite a long break. Now waiting for Monique, so we can take a shorter break and go straight into Things to Remember.
What kind of things does a child deserve to have in his or her tiny hands? Probably a candy or a toy, or even better, a book and a pen. But what if this pen gets replaced by a gun? Imagine the horror of violence and abuse children are facing every day and the kind of future we are building for them. In fact, 300,000 children are still working as militants in conflicting areas all around the world. They did not have a choice, but you do.
There is no doubt that quality education can help reduce poverty, foster economic prosperity, improve health and well-being. It can help a person to understand this world better or build a base for the future. It's clear, it's simple, education is important. However, today, there are places around the world where 14 students share just one book. Girls simply drop out because there are no toilets in schools. Today, 58 million children are denied the basic right to education. Those children did not even have a choice. But you do.
My favorite part of the show, of course, things to remember, and that's why it's always super, super dramatic, because, it's that part that I hope that you take home with you, that you share with your kids, you share with your colleagues, you share with your friends. It's that part of the show. And of course, as I said before, from coast to coast, organization and individuals alike will join forces to clean up our parks, trails, beaches, mountains, and open spaces. World Cleanup Day is on September the 15th, 2018, and it's held in conjunction with National Cleanup Day in South Africa is held in conjunction with World Cleanup Day. Cleaning the world is a collaborative effort of the National Cleanup Day. So let's make sure that we do our best. 150 countries are going to be taking part. Millions and millions of participants will be there. And if you want to know a bit more, you can go to www.nationalcleanupday.org and you can find out where you can help out. We're going to play a short clip and then we're going to end off the show.
The South African government terms it war on waste, driving the recycling economy in the country. It's a radical approach to enable an environment conducive for economic growth within the waste management sector. A number of green projects have been launched. As part of this, the executive mayor of the capital city officially opened the first phase of the newly developed recycling park. The project is also designed to contribute towards addressing unemployment problems in the surrounding townships.
We want to have more sites like this going forward as we encourage sustainable living, as we encourage the environmental sustainability of our city and indeed of our country. With a country that is grappling with unemployment and a shortage of skills, this is really creating an opportunity for a lot of our people to really get into the economic mainstream in this way. This is an economy on its own that we need to be enhancing, and we need to make sure that we're protecting jealously so as well.
The focus of this particular site is largely on the collection and disposal of waste at landfill sites to one that is oriented towards waste minimization, reuse, and recycling.
What we believe is that waste is first logistics before it converts into energy. And the logistics, what it does, it creates an industrialization where you process waste, you collect it, process, and then from there what you can't recycle and use in big industry, you actually convert into energy.
This is the first phase of this recycling project. The project can process up to 100 tons of recyclable waste a day. It was developed in partnership with the private sector.
We firmly believe that protecting the environment, applying innovation, technology, and creating jobs are key objectives that can only be achieved through public-private partnerships. This recycling facility is indeed a clear demonstration of exactly that.
The second phase of the project will be launched in 2017. Yudisa Njamena, CCTV, Pretoria, South Africa.
There have been a number of things that the government has done to make sure that we are more susceptible to recycling, and this is one of them. And just thought it would be important for us to just take a look back as to the kind of work that's been done by the country to make sure that recycling becomes a day-to-day thing. But more than that, more can be recycled in South Africa. In fact, if you think of Impact and you think of all these other organizations that have come out, Redisa, that have come out to really help make sure that recycling on an industrial level does not affect us the way it has been affecting us in the past few years. And it's basically a story that I wanted to remind you of, and hopefully will ignite your fire and get you involved in National Cleanup. But more than that, just get you involved in recycling in general, in your households, in your spaces that you work, and in your schools. It's very important. And that concludes our show for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We are very disappointed we couldn't speak to Monique, but hopefully it's something that will still happen during the week. Definitely something was wrong with either her line or my line, but these things happen. So we will be back again, same time, same place tomorrow, only on brandlive.co.za. Sayonara.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.